When we face a significant loss in our lives, it is natural to feel heartache and to mourn. A death to suicide brings additional hard emotions like confusion, anger, or guilt. For those who are grieving the loss of someone who died by suicide, let me encourage you with some therapy tips for processing suicide-related grief. First, process anger, guilt, or confusion. It would be natural to struggle with anger towards your loved one or towards yourself. You may be angry with them for leaving you, for dying in a violent way, or for failing to share their pain with you. You may feel angry and guilty with yourself for not realizing your loved one was in crisis, for not intervening sooner, or for not being able to help them. These hard thoughts and feelings are valid and warrant a healthy expression. Find a way to feel your anger and release it in a way that won't cause harm to another person. I believe that anger settles into the body so we can use the body to get it back out. Talking, writing, praying, crying, exercise, breaking something, preferably not valuable, are ways to get anger emotions out. A daily 15-minute anger expression time may be helpful. After you have sufficiently vented anger, and that may take a long time and that's okay, consider the ultimate cure for anger, forgiveness. Forgiving the person who died by suicide can help you move forward in your grief. Resentment traps our progress. For those struggling with guilt, look for false beliefs that fuel false guilt, like I'm responsible for the outcome, or I should have known. How can you know what you don't know? And while we are accountable to each other, we are not accountable for each other. That would be assuming a power over another person that we just don't have. We are not responsible for another person's behavior. They are. The pain of confusion can be difficult to work through. The tendency is to ask why. This side of heaven, there may not be an answer for that question. Instead of asking why, can you start asking how? How am I going to heal? How can I work toward forgiveness? How can I remember my loved one in a healthy way? How can I grieve their death and still have my life? How can I both have hard feelings toward God and still love and trust Him? There are some wounds that only God can heal, but a supportive therapist, life coach, or minister can help in processing grief. Consider spiritual influences. The Bible gives accounts of suicide. Saul, Samson, and Judas all died by suicide. Jonah and Elijah, prophets of God with strong callings on their lives, struggled with thoughts of suicide. In Mark 5, the Garrison Demoniac was controlled by a spirit of death. The man lived among the tombs, cut himself, and resisted efforts of others to restrain him. No one could subdue him, but Jesus delivered him from bondage, and from that point on, this man was perfectly sane. Mark 9 gives an account of a man with an evil spirit of suicide operating in him, which from childhood caused him to throw himself into fire and water. Jesus delivered this person too. Dealing with the evil that touches our lives is God's responsibility. He judges the evil. Therefore, I do not believe that we bear the burden of forgiving a spirit of suicide. Our responsibility is to forgive the person who allowed the evil spirit to influence them. Extend grace. How do you view the person that died by suicide? When you think of them, do you think of the way they left this earth, or do you think of the way they lived their life? One dark moment, one bad decision, or even a season of poor choices do not define a person's life. Look at the entirety of someone's life to get a better assessment, not just one portion of it or how it ended. There is so much more to a person than the way they died. Look at every year of their lives, not just one final day. Looking through photo albums, recalling pleasant memories, and celebrating their strengths, values, and gifts can help adjust thinking to a more positive perspective. Can you extend grace to your loved one and release them from your judgment about how they ended their life? I work with suicidal patients every week, and the one thing I hear them say the most is that I don't really want to die, I just want the pain to stop. Can we have compassion for our loved one's unhealed pain? On some level, we all hurt. It's called universal suffering. We all make poor choices in the midst of pain. Can we offer those who died by suicide the same grace we would want for ourselves and our own struggles? God is very gracious with us in our weaknesses. We line up with the character of God when we extend grace too. Honor their memory. We can honor those we love by identifying and promoting values that they embraced. If your loved one really valued random acts of kindness or teaching or creativity, can you continue those values in their honor? One value you might consider implementing in your own life is belongingness. The lack of a sense of belongingness is a huge risk factor for suicide. As a way to honor the memory of one who died by suicide, how can you nurture acceptance and belonging in this world? If you could not prevent the death of your own loved one, be encouraged that there are others still alive who are struggling to find a place where they belong. Perhaps you can have an influence on these precious souls. Funnel your pain into making a difference, being a light to those who might be headed down the same dark path. Finally, let me encourage you to take your pain to the one who heals broken hearts. If you are going to break upon the one who puts the shattered pieces of our lives back together in the very best way. He is near the brokenhearted and saves those crushed in spirit. Draw upon God's comfort. His Spirit is willing and very able to minister peace and comfort to wounded souls. Where sin abounds, grace does much more abound. I hope that something from this is helpful to you and encourages you to grow in grace. Be blessed.